Thank you so much, Cubby. I really appreciate it. Had to get the beds made. Had to get Rebels done. I did his too. Just had to go over there and make his bed. Anyways, getting into game number 2 here, Rebel. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to take out of that first game, especially for the side of Winthrop, and maybe not so much for the side of Marist. I'm looking for that mental reset coming out for them. But this one thing that I think that needs to change is helping out the jungle, helping out Raven, because he was unfortunately on his own for a lot of that and just getting aggressed in his own side of the jungle. So I want to see what changes here. We aren't getting a change of sides though, so we're still going to have the counter pick there available for Marist.
Yeah, a big thing I think that could be changed for Marist just in general. Their composition wasn't necessarily bad, but they did lack wave clear, which, like you said, when it comes to moving out of your lane, supporting your jungler, when it comes to clustering together and finding some of the picks you need, that's a really, really easy solution, is just draft some more wave clear so that you can actually move with the remainder of your team. So, like, I don't know exactly what champions you've got prepared for that. One that comes to mind is, like, you do Sivir instead of Jhin. You don't have the same setup as, like, a Jhin W, but you at least have much more wave pressure up against anything that you'd be having there. So there's something like that to consider as well, and that could come across in any single lane. Again, to me, I feel like throwing your eggs into a heart basket with Kassadin or Vladimir, which is the other champion that he's really got prepared, that could be a really fun move here for the side of Marist, just to throw everything at the wall and see if it sticks at the maybe what could be the last chance that they've got in this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's really, it's going to be interesting to see what their decisions are on this. As you said, kind of backs up against the wall, as we talked about a lot. We are getting a very similar start to the bans, but a little change up when we got to the third bans. Thresh is actually banned away by Winthrop this time around. Sir Kenji's not getting that Gragas, but we do get first pick Karthus coming in for Winthrop.
We do, which is kind of crazy to think about. Just not only where can this position go, is it like Frostforce or Doxa taking it, but the fact that they're picking it at all, because they don't pick it that often. It's not that common of a pick, at least at this moment. It's still pretty solid when it comes to its clear speed and everything else, which would be fun. I am curious if they're willing to go for like a scaling composition just to test the metal of Marist. I think that'd be a really fun game too from Winthrop to see if they could actually take that challenge. But Marist isn't falling victim to it, as they grab themselves the Lucian first overall, so a bit of earlier game here potentially to play with, and a bit of flexibility as well between a couple of different roles with that champion already.
There is some flexibility there. Do have LAJ Wheels, playing a decent amount of that champion. Haven't seen it a lot in the bot lane, which I kind of miss. I kind of like Lucian in the bot lane. We'll see what happens here. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. We were prepping, talked about it a little bit now as Sejuani comes in for Marist College.
Yeah, I've seen Raven run this Iguana. Not only that, but the Sunfire Aegis buffs that came out. It actually got played in our first series as well. And yeah, it was played by the losing team, unfortunately. But I loved when Raven played this during the course of the season. I thought it was really good then, and it's even better than it was now. And this is also like, this is what you play early on. Okay, they're just sending it. They're full sending it right now on the side of Winthrop. That's two completely polar champions that we have in completely separate roles. This is about to be a dangerous game right now.
This is going to be very interesting on how they get the Yuumi. Oh, no. All right. Hermit's too big brain right now. The coach for Winthrop's too big brain.
I need someone to make sure that Sir Kenji's on his keyboard and they're not using Saskio's feet right now, just to make sure he's not on two champions at once. I don't know if it's an advantage or disadvantage for Winthrop. Somebody make sure that Sir Kenji's at the computer and not like getting lunch or something right now.
I mean, after that first game, maybe he deserves a little break. You never know. No, but Leona is the response here for Marist College. They do get a little bit of lockdown, a lot of lockdown at least already in the first two picks that they've gotten for themselves that are going to be the tanks, so to speak. Have a decent amount of damage followed up with that Lucian, but the rest of the draft for me, for Marist, is going to be very interesting, because you've got to think of if they're going to be flexing this Lucian, if they're going to change that around at all, if they're going to be focusing maybe something else and try to keep that mid lane Lucian, keep an 80 mid. Maybe we see a little bit more AP come out from them, but we're already getting the second phase of bans. The Rise goes away from Doxa, not going to have that one, and the Camille is actually banned by Winthrop. Don't want to give any solo lane presence to Marist College.
Interesting. A couple top lane bans seem to be taken away. And again, wanting to make sure Doxa doesn't get his hands on that Rise again. It's, what does Marist want blind in the top lane? I think there's a number of champions. You could go back to Cho'Gath. I didn't think it was horrible in the last game, but unfortunately didn't have the chance to impact too much. Sion is another option that you could use to cluster really quickly with your team, and the damage from like a Sion and a Sejuani combination is actually pretty high into other tanks if you want to go for something like that. And I feel like Winthrop are playing a little slower than they were in the previous game with the Yuumi. That means Sir Kenji's probably not finding the roam. roams. Karthus is a lot more farm heavy no matter where he's going to be. So maybe Winthrop pulling off the gas a little bit to play with their food perhaps a little bit right now as the Kled gets taken top. Marist, okay, so this is two different directions. Winthrop, they smashed game one and they're like, all right, let's pull back, let's scale a little bit. And Marist is just like, full throttle, let's go. Lucian, we're going Leona, we're going Kled, we're just going to smash this team.
Yeah, hey, that's what you're asking for when your backs are against the wall. You gotta go full send forward, as I'm gonna be definitely looking for those big charges coming out from Croissant Bandit, but we'll see how that kind of goes. I do find it really interesting now, though, as I see your face, Rebel, as the Zed is gonna be locked in. Could be a Doxa diff.
It really could be, especially because it feels like they're gearing up for a really heavy AP carry, which again, Vladimir Kassadin both on the board, both really good carries for Heart out of the mid lane. Yep. Neither one of them particularly good into Zed either. They're hovering Kassadin. I know they want to pick it. That would not be a fun laning phase in the slightest.
It would not at all.
If they're going to pick one of the two, I think Vladimir's the better of the two if you're going into this lane, but Kassadin is exciting at least because there's a lot of individual play potential out of Heart. And this is their final game. I mean, send it, do something. I'm cool with this too. All right, I'm cool with this too. That's fine.
So we are going to get the Lucian back towards the bot lane for the first time in a long while. I am really excited to see how that lane goes. You get a lot of priority in that lane, especially with a lot of CC, a lot of burst potential there. But it's the rest of the map for Marist College that has me interested. Getting Raven out onto the map, getting influence into this top and mid lane is going to be huge if they can get advantages there. But you got to be really careful for the other side, because you said Marist College throwing everything at the wall. Well, I gotta say, they got a lot of weapons over there on the side of Winthrop.
They really, really do. Winthrop's comp is so good at scaling in this game. So, like, Jax is going to get into it like a redeemable point. Karthus gets to that point. Even, like, the DPS out of Draven and those big axes can hit really, really hard in later stages. And there's a lot of earlier game from Marist. They're going to be the ones that have to combine. When you put Kled and Sejuani together, that is an amazing pair because you could chase down just about anyone with CC and all of the damage that can come through from Kled. And then you throw Lucian into that. That's a really good pairing as well. Not to mention all these squishy champions. There's no really good frontline for this team, so like Vladimir is going to be able to do quite a bit with that ultimate coming out as a damage buff to everybody on this squad, but it is completely contingent on Marist getting aggressive early. This isn't something we see them do very often. They tend to play more for the later stages. That's why you see these scaling picks out of mid lane, but I'm all for it. If Marist wants to try to take it to Winthrop the way they just got taken to, I'm here for it, man. I'm ready to see what Marist can do.
I love the fact that we are getting a lot of comfort coming in, maybe different comfort than we typically see in the meta, but Marist College knows what they need to go for, right? They've got a pretty steady composition. They have a decent amount of CC coming out from Raven and 2 scouts, but besides that, it's going to be a lot of that execution. It's going to be trying to outplay the opponent, where you have a lot of outplay buttons on the other side. So I think this is going to be a lot of a very interesting kind of kiltered matchup, because either side gets ahead in this one, it's a snowball. Like there's no way, and we'll see how it goes. I do want to see if maybe Raven goes for a little bit of an aggressive start against Frost Forest, because I do think that's the one way that you can kind of get under the Karthus and try and stop that from just being an end-all be-all for the game. And especially when those Requiems start landing, you don't want the gold to be on Karthus, but it all depends. You don't want to give up a lot to get that advantage, right? We saw the jungle be a big focus last game, and especially Frost Forest on that Rumble was playing so well. So if Raven can find an advantage in that fashion and really transition that into some lane priority, it would be really nice.
This is the opening that Raven has that we wanted to see last game, where last game it was like, okay, his lanes have to play to him really heavily, and they weren't able to do it. Now it feels like Raven has a lot of agency within this early laning phase, not only to attack for his laners, but also to attack the opposing jungler, like you said, shutting down the Karthus, making sure he's not comfortable at all. And like, who's moving for the most part in this early game? Like Zed maybe against Vladimir, but even that gets a little bit tumultuous, as right now you've got like Lucian, who pushes pretty well alongside Leona, where Yuumi isn't the best for helping wave clear. Jax in the same boat early into the game, not super amazing wave clear into the Kled or things of that sort. It feels like a lot of very, very skill contingent matchups for Winthrop, where they know they're the better players. They're actually just like baiting out the enemy team into doing these things, which does open up Raven for quite a bit of skill expression in the Sejuani, which he's been able to do before, and it opens up the rest of this team to trying some stuff that maybe we didn't see. Not to mention, now that we've got Kled who can move around the map and put people together a lot faster, maybe we get a lot more of that like 3v3 skirmish and 5-on-5 that Marist was kind of missing from the previous game as well.
Yeah, especially, and just the distance you can travel with the charge is going to be really nice. You know, if for some reason, you know, Raven is in the enemy jungle, is near that top lane, you're going to have a quick response there from Croissant Bandit. The only question for me is, you know, that Jax can get pretty scary. And coming out as this pick, like it can be interesting into the Kled as well, and if you can get that advantage up there, I still think that's going to be huge for both sides. We saw it kind of pitter out a little bit in that first game, but especially in this one, you're not going to have that huge early influence there from Frost Forest this time around, so it's going to be a lot of lane focus, trying to get those outplays going for themselves and not necessarily influenced by outside forces.
It's another game where Winthrop can carry out of any position, where, like you said, if they snowball anybody, then that person can take over the entire game. But now individual lanes feel a lot worse for them, which is nice, and they don't have that jungler that can move around. And Sir Kenji is on Yuumi, and it's a lot harder to move as Yuumi. I'm not saying he can't.
There's no body slams on Yuumi.
There's no body slam. There's no flash like ultimate. There's no crazy stuff you can do on Yuumi for the most part. You're not moving around. You don't have boots at all, so like moving is a lot slower easily as well. So like at minimum, this feels a lot more lane-centric from Winthrop than what we've seen before, which again, it feels like a testament more to their skill than it feels like anything else than like actual compositional strength. Again, not wanting to give away any information to some of the teams that might be, you know, facing into the later stages, expecting that they get past this series and into like the round of 8, the round of 4, things of that sort.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to give too much up because every step that you take in this college championship is potentially your last, right? There's no loser's bracket. There's nothing to drop down to. You're out. That's the season. So I like to see some of those things kind of sneaking their way out for Winthrop being one of these top teams, but maybe leaving some things to uncover later on. But I do have to say, like, this composition is a wild one for Winthrop. I think we have a little bit more calm, cool, collected heads on the side of Marist College, and I want to see if that kind of helps them reset from that game number 1. Because we can't shy away from the fact that that was a 20K plus lead at the end there, and they completely dominated that game. And you have to find a way to kind of mentally reset after that. And I'm really hoping that these kind of comfort picks, this kind of composition where it's more so that team play, you're getting Raven involved in the lanes a little bit more, maybe is that key.
When it comes to resetting metal, I'd like to just keep the "Hooked on a Feeling" song in my head 100% of the time, and there's no bad thoughts. Yeah, there's no concerns about my performance. There's no concerns about how I'm playing. It's just constantly ooga chaka ooga. Sorry, I don't want to get copyrighted or anything like that. That's my personal advice to their team. But again, like when they come in with a team that's built around just having fun and enjoying the game, like it feels like their mental's not going to get hit nearly as hard as a team who comes in expecting to be really competitive or having like a varsity squad or something, which is perhaps the biggest benefit to being like a team that's coming in as a club more than anything. It's just your ability to you know, brush your shoulder off and just, you know, keep walking even through all the problems that might come up for some of the earlier stage games.
Yeah, and I do believe we have a little bit of a pause to start us off, so we'll be getting into the game very shortly, but I have to say my eyes are on Raven on this Sejuani. We talked a lot about it before the broadcast and kind of setting that up for a potential pick for Raven, but also it's time for Croissant Bandit and Heart to have a great game, right? Like, this is it. You've got the Kled, you've got the Vladimir. We've talked a lot about Vladimir being so strong here recently in the meta, and especially with these buffs, but you're looking at some late game potentials there with a lot of skirmishing as well early on. So I think we're going to have a lot of chaos early, see if that works out in Marist's favor.
Yeah, it feels like right now Marist's way to win this game are either A, win early, or B, do enough early to get Heart into a place where he's got like Cosmic Drive and Night Harvester and all these items on Vladimir, and then hope that his Vladimir is enough to carry you through, which I've seen it happen before. He's done it before. He's done this inside of the MAAC, so I'm not saying it's impossible. But on the other side, like, you also can't bleed too much. So Marist, they have two options. They win early or they don't bleed. If they're bleeding, there's problems because now you've got Karthus who gets accelerated. It becomes an absolute monster. Draven will one-tap people with axes if you're not very careful, especially with the Yuumi to chase people down. Like, there's so many flat stats in the combination of those two characters. Jax can just dominate side lane if he gets ahead. Like, there's so many threats in front of you that not giving up gold is equally valuable to just taking gold. So don't make the over-aggressive play. Don't force anything you don't necessarily have to. Even if they're striking back on the map, that's okay. Just don't give up way more than you need to. If you overcommit into like 3 members, give up all those kills and lose a tower compared to just losing a tower, that's far more valuable here for this composition that can snowball so hard.
It is indeed. Early game is the key. Who's going to come out on top? This is a final potential game for Marist College if they do not put up and not shut up at least. And they need to find early advantages. Winthrop have come off a dominating win. Huge game number 1 to start off their run here in CLOL. See if they can continue that as well.
And I love this. This is the Heart special. When he plays Vladimir, there is no flash, baby. It's Ghost Ignite because he's trying to schmooze through that team as fast as possible. This is my favorite thing I've seen him do. He does it every time he plays the Vladimir, and it's entertaining beyond belief. It is painful, of course. He's playing into a Zed, so there's a lot of mobility there. But I respect that he's going to this comfort style of Summoner Spell rather than adapting to what might actually be considered good with like the flash and anything else that would come through.
So we talked a lot about the solo lanes. We talked a lot about the potential for anybody on Winthrop to carry. One of the big worries right now for me is the lack of range, the difference in range, at least on the bot side. I do feel like LAJ Wheels is going to have a decent problem, at least, with dealing with Saskio's Draven. You have a lot of range in that aspect. Every single shot from those spinning axes is going to be doing a ton of damage because Lucian doesn't have that much high base HP. So I'm really wondering how that's going to kind of work out early. We said a lot of Raven needing to get involved, trying to get into lanes, trying to get something going early. And I want to see if that transitions to anything bot lane here. As you see Raven hovering around, maybe go for that level 2, but decides not to.
Yeah, it looked like they almost knew that the ward was there, and he was trying to wait it out or bait the fact that somebody was going to be coming bot lane, but nobody fell for it, unfortunately. So just going to start on his second camp a little slower than normal. Like you said, there's 2 trade-offs to this bot lane. One of them is, okay, that was fast.
Sir Kenji, one more auto attack. Who says ranged is needed? Saskio might be able to pull back 1. That's going to be a huge kill for Saskio, but First Blood already went over to LAJ Wheels. And that's a big trade to the bot side, 1-1 already, but Marist were the first to get a shot in.
Yeah, and now I think if any confirmation were needed, this is 100% not Saskio's feet because he would not have died in that situation. It's just Sir Kenji into... The Yuumi is so tough to play early into Leona. Looks like the flash was burnt immediately, and when you get CC'd, there's just no way to win that situation right there. I do have to applaud Saskio for getting out of this one, but we'll see how it happens. It looks like just jumps off, and then an immediate flash from 2 scouts is what I'm predicting happens right here as this wave is controlled. Yeah. Oh, he stepped out of vision.
Yeah, he stepped up. Oh no. He puts the exhaust down on LJ Wheels, trying to get away, but it's too much already, and Yuumi does not have any help to deal with that. But luckily, as you said, Saskio able to get that kill back.
Yeah, I got to give a lot of credit to him for that. It looks like Frost Force also taking the red buff away from Raven, potentially. Is this a Karthus counter jungle? I don't think we've seen a Karthus counter jungle ever. This is perhaps the one champion that this is acceptable into, or at least before it was acceptable into, was the Sejuani. And now Frost Force is just going to get away with murder right there, as he was able to snag away the other red buff from Raven, who's not going to find out until he turns that corner, unfortunately. The one problem is... Yeah, it is really terrible. The one problem is no blue buff has been taken by Frost Force yet. And if Raven realizes that and walks in, you should have fine play in mid lane as well as 2 scouts coming up and top lane shoving. Oh, what happened to Heart?
He got blown up.
He got bonked.
That's a Doxa diff.
That's a Doxa diff.
That's it. We're just not going to get tired of saying those words. No, but Doxa able to get that kill in the mid lane.
Yes, he's angry about the fact that the Annie killed him in the previous game. And
that's what it is. That's what it is.
This is, again, Zed into either of these 2 kind of scaling picks is not a bad matchup. And this is the better of the 2. But again, either one was not going to be fantastic. So Heart takes a little bit of that early pressure that Doxa is able to put down. And even worse, again, even if Raven wanted to walk in and try to contest that blue buff, just was not available for him to do so. And so Raven has to walk away from that, and the blue and the triple buff comes over to the Karthus to start things off.
And I want to say before we get into this replay that 2 scouts was right there. He was so close to being able to help out Hard, but unable to make it there in time. Doxa just pulled the trigger on it and was able to get the kill. So it was very close to Marist having a response there, but they don't have it. And now Croissant Bandit's going to be in some trouble here. They're going to look to crash this wave up top.
No trouble. No trouble at all. Don't worry about it. He's Kled. When we get a chance to look at that replay, we'll get to say a chance to see what happened between Hart and Doxa as well. Yeah, auto attacks are flying in. The problem with this lane, I was going to talk about it a bit ago, was the range advantage versus the engage that comes through from Leona as the replay does pop up. Hart, he went in for an empowered Q. He didn't hit it with the empowered Q either. So now, okay, it's just Doxa. Okay,
he just doesn't have
What do
anything.
you do there? Yeah, what do you do there? There's not much to be done. Hart, no flash, so he can't flash out the opposite side, trying to kite that out as fast as possible. possible. The Ignite denies any of the healing that can come through. Doxa just hits him with everything, gets that Ignite, and gets that Electrocute, and that's all that's necessary.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that maybe going down towards 2 scouts coming up could have helped a little. I don't think it would have helped, though. I think it was just buying time, maybe even 2 scouts going down to Doxa as well. But at least you're starting to see a little bit of movement here from Marist College. You're starting to get 2 scouts out on the map as this Leona, trying to get some strength there. The only thing is, right, you're having a big lane focus from Sasuke and Serkenji on the bot side. You cannot let this Draven just have a free lane. You've got to punish him in a way, in some sort of way.
Wave stacking, they could be looking towards this Mountain Drake because it should be easy enough to take with this wave just completely barreling down bot lane between Sasuke and Serkenji. The other thing is they could be looking for a dive, but Karthus is a ways out, and they lost Scuttle Crab on bottom side. Oh, there's an E!
They catch on to Serkenji. Honestly, that's very surprising, but look at LJ Wheels. One more shot.
Oh,
that's
my
huge.
goodness.
Sasuke's damage, the range advantage coming out for Winthrop, and they could punish 2 scouts a little bit more. There it is. There's the combo. Doxa looking for the kill, gets stunned on the other side of it. The Electrocute, not going to be enough, but 3 kills already for Winthrop University.
The bigger part about that right there, rather than just the kill going over, which is all on Sasuke being able to just like completely stay out of tower range entirely, which was amazing positioning by him, but even more so was like the double triple stack wave that just crashed that Wheels is not going to have access to anymore, and that's painful.
No.
Come on, man. Leave them be.
I don't even know what to say about that. I was so excited for Croissant Bandit there. Maybe able to pull it out, but takes a couple tower shots, and that is an unfortunate end to the top lane. As Hart wants the kill on the hybrids. I don't know if this is necessarily
Raven's here too.
Raven's right here
they
on the bot side. Doesn't have ulti though. Doesn't have anything. There's hybrids going down to Raven though. Raven tanking it exceptionally well. And that's the response from Marist College.
Big respect over to Raven and Hart. They are able to find that play. They lose a couple waves in mid lane, but they do find the strike back on top side, making sure that Hybrids isn't going to be able to affect that wave too heavily. And they're even going to keep Hearts up there just to make sure that wave crashes. Cled's going to catch mid lane. That's good little rotations coming out of them. Of course, again, they don't really have much pressure on bot side, given just how ridiculously strong Sasuke and Kirkenji. This is a problem as well. Frost Forest, if they catch him quick, then maybe there was a possibility there. It looked like Croissant Bandit could have rared an ultimate.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That would have been so good, but unfortunately just the communication not going to be there. In
fairness, like, you don't want to get collapsed on by Sasuke again alongside that, so like there's a fear there. This is what we talked about again. Serkenji jumping off. E does catch at the very.
How does that connect?
I don't know. The exhaust has been amazing for Serkenji both times, and look at that positioning. Okay, we're actually coming back to live, so I expect the fight to come through.
We got a little charge going on the bot side. I didn't get to yell it this time around. Croissant Bandit might have wanted me to. It's going to be a nice turnaround. There's the whirling death coming through, and Croissant Bandit gets out with a little scatter shot there. See if LAJ Wheels can do anything to stop. There's the re-engage there from 2 scouts, though. Croissant Bandit wants to get Scarl back, but can't do so just yet. A lot of damage, a lot of range. There's the kills. Doxa from the side gets one of them. The other going to Frost Forest. Doxa is going to help Frost Forest get a double kill. And who says that Karthus needs to stay in his jungle? We don't care about that anymore. Frost Forest is here to stay.
It doesn't matter if they're playing lane champions, doesn't matter if they're playing Farley champions, doesn't matter if they're playing early champions, late champions, whatever. Winthrop is going to strike around the map, and they're going to strike together, and they are doing it with aplomb in this series and in this game specifically. It felt like Marist would have had some possibility to strike together or strike early on, but just haven't been able to find it. Raven's going to try to get something on top side here.
That's unfortunate. Gonna try and bait it out. A lot of damage responding here. There's the counter strike to stop, though, as Hart taking a little bit of overextension there. It takes a tower shot. They really wanted to get a response kill up there, but were unable to. A lot burned as well. Yeah,
Raven, unfortunately, the ultimate got predicted. Well played by Hybrids, and now here comes Doxa. Okay. He got vision of him at the last second. He could still very easily die.
Look how confident Doxa is. He just pops the Ignite. Ticking the healing. It's not enough. Gets out with just a smidgen of health. The Requiem! Winthrop do not want to give an inch to Marist College.
Oh, it's so painful right there. Everybody across the map tanks that, and of course Raven's going to go down. The attempted play on the opposite side ends up going the way of Winthrop, as well as the Dragon going down. Everything falling to pieces for Marist right here. This is the play on bot side. The charge, as you said, comes in onto bottom lane. It's just shallow, and they can't find anybody. All Sasuke had to do was run away from that situation, and they continue it thinking, okay, maybe we've got the damage for this, but they don't turn at all. I thought maybe they could have turned quickly as long as Kled wasn't dismounted and looked for a burst quickly on a Frost Force, but just does not end up coming through. The damage is not there. Look at how much healing it comes through from the Yuumi even at this point in the game, and there's not much to be had. They just get zoned completely out, and this is before Zed makes the entrance to the fight and
just throws it in.
Yeah, no, there's nothing to do. Like, he's just gonna sit there. Ultimate comes through, ends up getting out, and then the Q lands at the very last second, giving Karthus 2 more. Like, Winthrop's relentless, man. This is so hard to watch.
It's really rough, but it's great gameplay coming out from Winthrop. You know, a little bit of difference in play styles, a little bit of difference in picks, but they're still performing just as well. You're getting kills across the board, getting gold into everybody's pockets. We said all you need is to get one person ahead to carry the entire game. Well, what if everybody's carrying the game, Rebel?
Good question. There's problems. That's what I'll say. I do appreciate that Marist has actually made the full swap between top and mid lane just to make sure that Hart is on the opposite side of the map from anybody else, making sure that Zed is nowhere near this Vladimir to shut it down so that they can try to play it for some of the later game. So I give a lot of respect over to Marist for making that decision very quickly instead of being impatient. Doxa.
He's not on the other side of the map, Rebel. He's here. He wants to kill you. And Hart's making the outplay. Hart gets the shutdown.
That's the Doxa diff that we've been waiting on right there.
Just have to get one of those in every game, right? Like, you got to give the clips.
You gotta give the clips over. Yeah, you always have to. Actually, in the mid lane, we're right back to the action.
That Scar already down. The re-engage from Raven, though. Counter-strike onto Croissant Bandit. He's going to go down. And that's a big advantage. Still being brought by Winthrop, and they're going to take mid-tower as well. Yeah,
it ends up being just the 1-for-1 across the map with Doxa being traded for Croissant Bandit, but the mid lane tower also going down with all of its plates as well. My apologies. Going over to hybrids is also extremely harmful, not to mention no shutdown on Frost Force. He just gets to counter jungle away at Raven's jungle. This is it's just Winthrop continuing to take advantages even when it seems like something is finally going to break in the way of Marist. That fight looked okay to start with, but man, it's just Winthrop all the way. Every single situation they own.
It is, as we're going to be getting into this replay, see how that all went down on the Doxa. The outplay here by Hart. Able to get a lot of that healing. You thought, Doxa's lead right now would give him that, but the outplay came through. It was a little bit of confidence boost there by Doxa just going in, but the pool is so clean. The healing back as well from the Hemo Plague.
Yeah, I gotta give a ton of respect over to Hart right there. His just movements, his little like shifts and everything like that. Yeah. This is why it's a champion that was essentially permabanned. I think he played it once or twice inside of the region because no one would let him have it, and you see exactly the reason why. When you can do things like that to a player at the level of Doxa, you just imagine what he's doing to a lot of other players across all the other regions that would exist. And that's why this champion is so important for them to get their hands on. And this is why they opt for it when their backs are against the wall here in the round of 32. They're not doing great in this game. They're down 6,000 gold. There's no reason to sugarcoat it. But Hart at least is on a champion he feels comfortable on, and they're willing to adapt to this strategy where they're trying to make sure that he has what he needs to try to carry this team through this late game.
And I love it because you're just seeing the response from Marist College. They're like, just move Hart around. Get him away from Doxa. He's in top lane. Okay, Doxa's there. Let's bring him in. Okay, Doxa's there. Let's get him away. Let's just move him away from Doxa at every point that you can. The thing is, though, you're going to have Second Dragon coming up here very, very soon, and a decent amount of pressure already gained in the lanes is going to mean that Winthrop have freedom of movement here towards the bot side.
Actually, really nice positioning from Raven. They're going to turn immediately.
Solar Flare. Yeah, it's the calling on top of it. Doxa goes into the shadows, is able to get away. Doxa gets one of the kills. Doxa gets two of them. Is he going to go for a third? That's Saskio getting it, but the shutdown could go over. Croissant can't get it. He can't do it. Hart's trying to carry his team, but he can't do it either. Big damage over, and that's a double kill for Hybrids.
Nothing broke right there for Marist. They were trying to focus down multiple targets. Doxa didn't die. Saskio didn't die. Sertenji kept everybody up way too often. It was even kind of a struggle just to try to bring down Frost Force there at the very end. For Hart, the strongest member of this team, you just don't have the damage. Again, they're getting just outstatted across the board. When they're down 4,000, 5,000 gold, there's nothing much to do. We talked about it as well. Every member can carry, so you don't have to kill just Saskio. You don't have to kill just Doxa. You gotta kill every member before the fight is really, truly over. And none of them going down just means that Winthrop gets to run everything, as it doesn't look like they commit immediately for the Dragon. They are going to bounce back out to it as fast as possible, as that looks like that's going to be the play that comes up here.
Yeah, it definitely does, and I just have to feel for Marist College right here, right? They take the preemptive play. Two Scats is like, no, we're going to get collapsed on. We have to go now. They get Doxa so low but it doesn't matter. He's still a Zed.
Big respect. Again, Raven was able to make that prediction too. Is in a pretty solid place, but when they collapsed, yeah, everybody kept going.
He's so close to getting the kill on Doxa. And then Yuumi heals, are a thing.
That they are. It was a painful fight. Again, so many members almost went down, and Marist almost took this fight completely in their favor because of that early fight. But again, stats here, stats there, gold here, gold there. That's all that's necessary. And Winthrop was able to just kind of use their gold as an armor in that fight to keep themselves alive just a little bit longer. On even footing, I'm guessing Marist actually takes that fight because that was really solid from them. But unfortunately, not only did they lose that, they lost bot tower during that process as well. And Dragon has been taken. So that's the second time in a row we will see 2 dragons taken by Winthrop at this time. I think it's a little later than last game, so we're going to have to wait for that soul point if they're even going to make it to there. But in this one, again, the dragon controlling is going in their favor.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to our observers, giving us the Cloud Soul vision, making sure we know which one it's going to be. And, Cloud Soul can be very important for either of these squads, but definitely for Winthrop as they're going all in here onto hybrids, with hybrids at least, take it on a 2v1 until Frost Force can get there. And Scarl is going to luckily come up for Croissant Bandit, going to save his life as well. But that top tower is looking worse for wear, Rebel.
Nice play from Raven right there, making sure that his top laner got to walk out. But like you said, top lane's getting worse for wear, and mid lane tower went down in the process. They might find hybrid. Oh my goodness.
He's breaking ankles right now.
Really
the charge is coming through, but it's going to land on Frost Force as Hybrids has gone the complete other way. Can he get the pull around? That's the Blade World coming out. The Requiem as well. The Gale Force. It's so much damage by Winthrop. There is no hope here with this lead circling 10,000 gold. Saskio's going to make it that. Double kill for the Draven.
I will say, of all the members you can Kled ult onto, one of the worst is perhaps a Fed Karthus, only because the damage is going to come through whether you want it to or not with that passive. Hybrid somehow able to slink his way out of that fight was humongous, not to mention, they weren't able to bring down anyone fast enough. That's the second time Frostfort went down, but it doesn't matter.
Oh,
Zed,
no.
Oh my
Doxa is going to go on a rampage. Then he ults LAJ Wheels. He's not going to... Oh my god! With the mastery points, you get the flex. There you go, Doxa dip.
Oh my goodness. Big respects. Hybrids, the disrespect. Oh, I love that 2 scouts giving him. Match that energy, brother. That's what I like to see. That's what we're here for. Nice E, actually. Did tank tower. Took 2 tower shots. Okay, I thought maybe Hearts could close that ground as everything else came through. Again, from the beginning of the draft, we knew that Winthrop was kind of playing with their food, and that's what's happening right here as they're sitting on another 11,000 gold lead at 17 minutes. But at least these teams are having fun, man. They're able to dance with each other underneath their tower. You got to love that one.
You gotta appreciate the little fun that's gonna be had. Doxa
goodbye
on this play though. Yeah, unfortunately, just 2 diffs going down. Doxa able to get that cleanup, and he has looked so strong on the Zed, right? Like he has been so dominant. But it's not just him. Like yes, he has 7 kills. But it's everybody with the mechanical outplays, hybrids, breaking ankles in the top lane. You have Frost Horse who's laying his life on the line to make sure that these fights go whole-handedly in Winthrop's favor. And this is exactly what you expect from one of the top teams here in CeeLo.
See, so I'm cool right now with everything that's happening on the side of Winthrop. What is going on with Yumi's build? Why does she have Lunens right now? I don't think you build Lunens on Yumi.
It's reminiscent of the first game, right? Like you're just kind of keeping that energy.
Oh, this is another Dox
This is the play, yeah.
The observers
on the LHA.
Yeah, Wheels just getting disrespected right now by our observing team because they are watching him get outplayed every second of the day as Doxa. This is the second kill.
Shuriken. Oh my god.
The triple Shuriken was amazing. The ultimate I don't think would have been barely enough to kill him. It might have been really close, but that triple Shuriken certainly confirmed it at the very last second, as that was a really nice skill shot. Now Hart gets to absorb this. Maybe our observers can watch this solo kill if it ends up happening, but I don't think Marist wants this to happen. They're coming to Doxa right now.
Doxa's a little bit caught here. He's just going to turn around, go in onto Hart, uses the outplay here. Look at Doxa! Look at Doxa! He's still getting engaged on by 2 scouts, but he's still alive. And they are able to take down 2 scouts. There was the charge in the middle of everything. They're still trying to get him. Shutdown goes over to Wheels. But what do you lose for it? You lose your lives. Saskia is going to take a couple more kills. And the Requiem's going to come down to ensure it all. Give him 3. That's Draven getting fed. And Winthrop itself dominating Summoner's Rift.
They had such a hard time all game so far trying to focus down targets in these team fights, and this has caught up with them time and time again. We're right there. They had to go so far just to get the one kill onto Doxa that it didn't matter what they had achieved by just getting that massive shutdown on Delusion, because they're losing so much more in trade. 3-4 champions went down. That's bottom tower, bottom inhibitor off the back of that Rift Herald. We're 20 minutes in. It's another 13,000 gold lead here for Winthrop, continuing to show us again and again just how dominant they can be in this collegiate tournament.
With third dragon on the line here, this will be soul point for Winthrop.
On the line.
Pick it up. It is on the line.
It's
on
not.
The clothesline, if you will.
It's not. It's Winthrop. They took it to the dry cleaner. It's theirs. The tag is on it for them. No one from Marist is contesting it.
I'm just asking Marist to go pick up the dry cleaning. Two Scouts is getting engaged on by hybrids, and now the health difference is there, but Sir Kenji getting a little low. Doesn't matter, though, because Sasuke is legendary. He's going to chase down Hearts, who's going to try to for the outplay here. Sasuke getting pretty low, but a couple more shots. That's the trade. That's the shutdown. Frost Forest on a killing spree as well, but a little bit of gold gained back from Marist College. Still going crazy here, though, as we're going to get a little replay of that.
Yeah, we get another engagement. This is the play onto Doxa right here where they
Doxa,
try to go crazy. Yeah, Hart ends up having to lead this.
Over there.
Yeah, that's the Prowler's Claw, man. It's such an amazing item. They get onto him again, and they're not able to get him with this kill. It's not until Wheels is able to get into this backline that you'll end up seeing this play. A nice little dash and finds it. Yeah, they do. Of course they do, yeah. And Frost Forest is able to get quite a bit. Yumi's able to catch him. Sasuke is able to continue going. Like, there's just so much damage here for Winthrop within these fights. So much gold. Like, going that far is just unacceptable. Yes, he got the shutdown, but it's just not going to matter in the end of things. I think it's more for pride than anything at this point that these kills start to come through.
Yeah, about 4,000 gold in the lead is Winthrop. They've already gotten the bottom inhib. They've got lanes pushing as well. They're using the same strategy they used last game, where they're just full committing into the enemy jungle, keeping the pressure up. As two Scouts just gets obliterated, apparently, by Doxa, who is 9-2. You also have a 10-1 Draven. So that's the thing. Like the fact that we've seen everything we talked about early on, where all these members can carry, they all have tools available to them. Well, they all have gold now, and they're all taking it straight to Marist College. As Dox is going to pick up another kill, and he's just going in under tower because he can with Sir Kenji. And the health bars for Marist College are just so low right now. Sasuke might actually get caught here. Oh, no, Heart's going to go down. There's the Requiem again. Doxa wants even more. He's going for it under tower. Going to be able to get a couple more, potentially. Croissant Bandit going low. Sasuke gets the kill on the Raven. And it is a slaughter here for Winthrop, taking it to Marist College.
Yeah, and slowly trickling into this is also going to be the remainder of this team, where it looks like Karthus is coming up now. They've got waves already pushing on bot lane. They've got mid inhibitor. This could just be the close of the game here from the side of Winthrop.
Could be Sasuke looking for the outpost here. Oh my god. Okay, he doesn't get the kill. Okay, that was a little bit much. I was going to say, if he gets away with that one, it's going to be a little bit worse. But Phosphorus actually just follows it up for him. This could, if they want to end it here, they can. They have full minion wave here, but the minions are spawning for Marist College. They've got a couple members to defend, so the end is not going to be just yet.
It is nigh, but it is not here for the side of Marist. It's not quite there yet. They're willing to go for this fourth dragon that's going to be popping up here any second now. So that's going to be the big thing from the side of Winthrop, is they can play a little more patiently. They can definitely take Baron. This is the same situation we were in the previous game. The difference is, I think, about 4,000 gold, because I think at this point they were up about 20,000 or something. Now they're up, 16,000, something like that. Yeah, that's about it, though.
About it.
About it. That's about it. No. 16.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. We'll see what happens in the next few minutes, though. You do have objectives on the board. Yes, Rebel. What?
I will say, Blighting Crystal with a Rabadons and a Rocket Belt here for Hearts is a ridiculous power spike that he just arrived at. There's not a lot of cooldown reduction, but he almost one-tapped Doxa in the previous fight, even with Yumi attached. There's a possibility that Hearts can at least make some noise, but it might just be way too late. The fight is beginning. Croissant Bandit's on his own. Oh, no, Scouts.
Oh, no. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of a split fight. Croissant wanted to go for it. There's the Requiem. Going to help get one of them, get two of them. That's huge. As Heart is able to take down hybrids, though, Whirling Death does not connect onto Raven, but this has got to be the end. This is a slam home victory, 39-9. Very heavy in the gold lead for Winthrop as they take down the last kill. They take that ace, and they take their first win of the college championship.
I can sense a couple of times during that game where Marist almost certainly typed, they like all chatted Worth for a couple of the solo kills to come through.
Yeah, no doubt.
And let's be real, 40-9, another 15,000 plus gold advantage pre-25 minutes for the side of Winthrop. None of this was unexpected. I can appreciate that Marist came out today and played with their heart on their sleeve. And they played the champions that made them famous. They played the champions. They played a style that made them good. And they had a couple of really solid moments. It could have a couple of good team fights. It's just Winthrop is such an incredible team. It's tough to kind of stare across from being outclassed, but I can respect the way that Marist was able to take this one.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I really want to highlight those few moments where you do see Hart performing so well. You get some outplays in that fashion, and it does suck to have it come to an end like this in that first round, but you still got to be proud that you were one of these teams that made it to this point. You were one of these teams that had to go up against a potential top contender in this and still had some good showing. So I cannot discredit Marist at all, because I think that they have such a great program themselves as being that kind of student-founded organization and still being able to take some things away from this loss. And I really hope that they can come back stronger next time. But you got to turn our attention over to Winthrop, man. You just can't say it. Like, they dominated 2 games in a row. They kept the 2-0 victories going on the day and in dominant fashion from every single person.
The expectations were there. I think, honestly, if not exceeded, then they definitely met expectations. They asked for desk segments and clips of games to try to submit for the analyst desk for some replays and such. But unfortunately, like our replay op, like, he won't take 25 minutes of gameplay in a row, because that's what this was for the last 2 games, was just Winthrop again and again and again making highlight play after highlight play, rotation after rotation, fight after fight, always flipping in their fashion, to the point where the only thing that we could actually like point out about this team that was like funny was when they weren't doing that, when Doxa would die to an Annie ultimate or get 1v1 by Vladimir, which just speaks to the level that they're playing at, that those are the moments we have to point out as like the best moments for them, when they're just being so ridiculously dominant. It's the reason why their expectations for the entire tournament to be one of our top teams is absolutely present.
And hey, taking it serious, you do real well if you keep going the way you're going, Winthrop. But we do got to send it over to a little interview with Frost Forest to hear a little bit more about that series.
Thank you so much, Mazel and Rebel Fox, for taking us through those games. But now it's all about Winthrop University and also Frost Forest. Jacob Chan for joining us here on the desk. And Frost Force, I actually want to kick things off, not so much focusing on these games, but the last time that we saw you playing on twitch.tv/academy, it was for the Proving Ground season. You guys repped Collegiate very well in those tournaments. Unfortunately, we're not able to qualify for the top 16. But what has the team been working on since then until now to kind of prep for CEDAL and make sure that you guys are in tip-top shape to go into this tournament?
So we've been working to be more consistent with our play, instead of having more like coin flip games with like, Jinx, Baron steals, or, having Doxadiff in the mid lane. We, decided to work on our consistency, make sure that our early game is intact before figure out like a good game plan, whether or not we want to, do like Herald plays or Dragon plays, like we sort that out before game during Champ Select, during the loading screen. And mostly just play a more consistent game instead of relying on overpowering factors. Yeah. Is it not?
Apologies, no, that's on my end.
Okay.
Looking on this new patch, Frost Forest, patch 11.9, all these new junglers introduced. We saw you pull out the Rumble. Yeah. We saw you pull out an old favorite with the Karthus. How are you feeling with this new jungle meta? Are you excited, kind of moving into the upper stages of the championship with more of like a carry focused jungle meta?
Yeah, I really like the meta a lot more recently, just because I don't have to play any Kemtig junglers anymore, so it's a lot more. Just a lot more nice. I can play a lot more AP junglers like Diana, Karthus, Rumble. Like I could just play all those champions, and it really suits my meta more, where I just want to play more aggressive, instead of playing a tank, And I think just the meta is way more fun because you can also just play a lot more champions as well, and you can have a good mix of drafts as well, especially with like Gwen and Viego enabled as well.
That's great to hear. It was fun to watch you pull out the Karthus in game 2. I know that's a pick that you've loved throughout your career as well. Unfortunately, I know that Emery's not with us for this desk, but as she put it, she already has gotten too much of you in the first place, being your team manager. But I don't want to talk too much about Emery, but also I do want to talk about the recent addition that your squad actually made to the staff for this push for CLOL. I know she was talking about how you added a late coach to the mix, and I kind of want you to kind of get your thoughts, like what has adding that new staff member, that new coach, kind of brought to the team and the changes that you guys were able to make prepping for CLOL.
So I think just prepping for CLOL, we've done a lot more, more fun drafts, I guess, just more drafts that fit into our style as a team. Instead of, playing the meta, we play to, it's just more fun, like we play for fun, I guess, as the best way to put it, but like also makes something that makes our draft work and like suits our players. So like Doxa Z, for example, like we got to pull it out every once in a while to make teams, think about it, or like, oh shit, we can't play. Oh, can I switch? Oh shit, my bad. I can't
we'll cut it from the record.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, just champions that like no one would expect, but like we have them in our pocket picks that people are scared to play, into those champions, so that they have to be aware of them. Just keep them on their toes. Like we're a team that's not afraid to play what we feel like is strong and what we feel like is, because we're not held back by that, and it's something that's something that I really like about our team, and that like every player has like a voice on our team as well, so it's really nice.
So moving into the later stages of this will be the last wrap-up question. I got the chance to ask Doxa this during my interview with him. What players or teams are you looking forward to facing as you kind of move deeper into the tournament? Are there any junglers that kind of catch your eye? Are there any teams that you're excited to either rematch or face for the first time?
Honestly, I would assume that we're gonna face off against GBU next week, Grandview. So I'd be excited to play against them. And hopefully we'd play against Harrisburg, because that's my former team. I'm not sure if they'll make it to top 8 though, but we'll see. We'll see if they can. We go see if they can make it before they can face us. But hopefully we can face them off, and or I guess it'll be top 4 where we'll be facing if they do make it there. So that's a team that I really want to play against, and Maryville would be the last one. So. And then maybe ISU as well. I would like to play against that team as well if we don't face off against Harrisburg. Yeah,
definitely a lot of competition coming in, and I love how you already have your revenge tour and high aspirations mapped out here early, as Frost Forest looking to get back at some of those old teams and old teammates. Always good to hear. But before we let you go, Frost Forest, just a last opportunity. Any shout outs, any parting thoughts you'd like to give us on this Academy stream before we let you go and get back to your team manager, Emery?
I guess shout out to all my teammates. They all played amazing today. Shout out to our manager, Emily, of course, repping us out on the analyst desk. And I also want to shout out our opponents, Marist, today. They actually were about to forfeit their game, but they skipped their classes just so they could face us. And I really appreciate that they would, come out and play against us. Even though they, weren't the strongest enemy, I appreciate that they want to play against us, and I hope, the best for them and their whatever they do in their lifetime, and the league as well. Yeah, hey, love to see that competitive energy, and very classy to pay some respect to your opponents as well. But as said, Winthrop dominant 2-0, moving on to the round of 16. Frost Forest, congrats to you and the rest of your squad. As we're going to let you go, let you get back to your team. So thanks for taking the time to have an interview with us, man. Thank you. Fantastic. We got to hear from Frost Forest himself, and now Emery, we welcome you back in. We have a rule: we can only have one eagle on the desk at a time, so we're gonna skip out on that as Red Hawks ourselves, but that's fine as we get back to setting standard with our guest here, as starting off and kind of getting into these games. I know that we have a few replays lined up to kind of go over the action, but Dylan, I do want to start off with you and kind of focusing on Marist. Before we get into the highlights for Winthrop, we will have to say goodbye to Marist College, as they have dropped out now in the round of 32. What were some of the positives that you saw out of Marist today?
I think Marist had some really solid individual performances. Their mid laner, Hearts on the Vladimir, he actually was playing very well in that last game. I mean, when you consider that he's up against TSM Amateurs new mid laners, somebody that's been dominating even Academy mid laners in previous games and Proving Grounds, like that is a very difficult matchup to go into, and already like Zed and Vladimir is hard. And he was playing it pretty well. Like he was actually relevant in many points of the game, turned around a fight or two. You can see why this school is so dominant in their own like respective conference when their opponents aren't at the caliber of Winthrop. And this is the kind of program where like if they have the proper like support in the coming years and they get maybe a few additional recruits as players graduate or move on, like this can become a pretty solid potential team in future top 32s for making a potential upset.
Yeah, and great that you mentioned that. I know we didn't get to see Hearts Cassinan, but the Vladimir was rather impressive. And you mentioned the caliber of opponent in Winthrop. You can hear the high aspirations that Frost Forest has. And as we dive into this first replay and kind of how Winthrop cracked the game open, Emery, you teased Sir Kenji and Saskio's play and how he's able to play roamers and crack open the map that way. This time around, we got to see some help come to the bot lane as they are able to repel this gank, turn things around, and kind of take us through like this unique perspective, Emery, as like what these players might be going through at this moment of the game, knowing them and knowing how your team communicates and how they're able to turn this play around.
Well, as Kenji would say, that's illegal. So they definitely, I think, were ready for it. They're very good at tracking the enemy jungler and where all the other laners are. So they most likely knew that this gank was going to be happening. And as soon as those things start to happen, they start to call all the other laners over so that way they can make a return play on it. And as you can see, Doxa came in and swooped up all of the kills. Luckily, Mr. Frost Forest got them. But yeah, I mean, they communicate pretty quickly on these kinds of things, and they want to make sure that they have that opening to punish the enemy play.
Yeah, we had some running jokes on the desk that we took from Proving Grounds. Doxadiff definitely being one of them, a player that really excels on those melee assassins that we've seen throughout his amateur career, and good to see him bringing that into collegiate as well. That said, Dylan, you were highlighting Hearts play and how you were somewhat impressed with the Vladimir.
Yeah.
You actually managed to turn a couple things around on Doxa and on that future mid laner for TSM Amateur in this game as well.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we get that replay pulled up, sure, you could make the argument that Doxa may be overstepping his boundaries, getting a little confident, going for that dive under the turret against Vladimir. But honestly, like, just the wherewithal for Hearts to know that he has the ability to make this play. I mean, these are the kind of things that, like, if the match was just a little bit closer, a play like this actually really matters, because it was a pretty massive shutdown onto Doxa. That gold's going on to a carry like Vladimir. And just being able to perform on this kind of a stage is always a positive for a player, because it is pretty nerve-wracking to play in front of, over 1,000 people. Your parents probably watching, your family, your friends, they're probably tuning in to come see you play. And for a college like Marist, like maybe they haven't played on that level of a stage before. Winthrop, obviously, in Proving Grounds, they're no stranger to playing in front of thousands of people. But I mean, the fact that he's able to pull off that kind of a 1v1 outplay against such an amazing player like Doxa really says volumes about him as a player.
Yeah, it was really good to see out of Marist, and I like the fact you mentioned the pedigree of Winthrop, not only being one of two collegiate teams to successfully compete in the Tier 1s for Proving Grounds qualifiers, which was the amateur circuit that we had this year. They made it the furthest out of both those collegiate teams, the other one being Maryville, which we will see in the last set that we have today. And I know, Emery, as we're going to run this replay and watch Winthrop kind of break this game open, what was it like for you kind of bringing this team through that amateur circuit? And how do you think it's kind of helped them prep for this big collegiate tournament where this is the capstone of the season that these guys have been competing for the entire year? Was it like having that experience already under your belt, not only just the amateur circuit, but also having players like Saskio, who has won this tournament twice on Maryville in two different roles, mind you, top and 80 carry? Well, what's that kind of bring to the team as an X factor?
It definitely brings a high level of confidence. I know that some of these players, before they accepted coming to this school, they wanted to know what the roster was. Doxa was one of them. And he did end up accepting the position because he believed in the roster, essentially. So Saskio has those 2 championships under his belt. He has quite a lot of experience in the competitive scene. We watched Hybrids and Frost Forest. They're new to this year, but they did really well in tryouts. And then Kenji has had some academy experience just subbing in. So I know Doxa and the rest of the team were really, really excited to play together. And when we went into Proving Grounds, we actually didn't have a set coach at the time. So a lot of it was actually player run drafts and player review. And they managed to get that far just by doing it all themselves. We did have an assistant coach, Matt, who really, really helped out. But unfortunately, we fell a little bit short of that Proving Grounds run. And so I know with this last collegiate push, especially since, again, it's Sasuke's last year and Doxa is going to TSM, that they're really, really pushing for this championship. And I know that they want to win the whole thing.
Yeah, and hearing everything be player run and from your program, kind of still having that grassroots feel despite the investment that the school's putting in and how immense that is to make sure that these players have full ride scholarships and are able to compete at the highest level, not only on the Rift, but also in classes as well. As love to hear the fact that Marist, maybe not taking classes as seriously today, but I think that we give them a hall pass, the fact that this is a big stage and a big opportunity for them. And I know that earlier we were highlighting Heart's Vladimir play. We were kind of teasing Doxa. He did get solo killed earlier in the game, but Dylan, I'd say that Doxa, as the game went on, started to show off, strut some of his stuff, and prove why he is that mid laner that did get picked up by TSM Amateur earlier this week.
Yeah, I mean, this Zed clip that we have from him is just absolutely disgusting. I mean, this is what you know Doxa for, right? He's that incredibly solid control mage player, but he has all of these assassin picks in his back pocket that are just so fun to watch. I mean, he's just so clean on these champions. He knows his limits perfectly, and he has such like a wide pool of champions that he can whip out. I mean, his Akali is something that's caught my attention over the past couple of years. His Zed, obviously, up there. Kassadin is a champion that he's very proficient on. These are just these like backline diving champions that have so much potential for flashy plays, and he always plays them so well.
Doxa is a player that we were very impressed with when it came to Winthrop. On like throughout Proving Grounds. I know you mentioned some of the melee assassins. You didn't even mention the Echo, something that he also played to a ton of success throughout the amateur circuit, as well as, you know, we're starting to wrap things up here with College in their top 32 run, doing their best to represent themselves and their conference, but falling short to one of the Titans that we have in the top 32. And kind of speaking on that Titan, having Emery here to represent those thoughts and feelings moving forward in the tournament. What do you kind of have to close us out with when it comes to Winthrop? Like, what are the goals and aspirations? I know that we have everyone looking towards the later rounds of the tournaments, but Emery, what are you kind of expecting for your team to do when it comes to putting their best foot forward in this tournament, seeing how far they can go now that they've already reached the round of 16? What are your expectations for what your squad can do?
Well, I think we're going to win, but don't clip me on that one because that'll come
Too late.
back
You're already
later.
on stream. Yeah, I should have signed up for that if you don't want to get clipped.
True. Well, I hope we win. And I think the guys are really working towards that goal. Again, it was finals week, but they still managed to scrim every single day and did all the VOD reviews for that. So I think they're prepped. They're ready to go. And in terms of final things for Winthrop, I think, you know, the scouts are watching, but hopefully some girls are watching because they don't have a scrim tomorrow. So if anyone wants to DM them.
Okay, so we got a nice closing message out for some of the talented and at Winthrop University who aren't playing tomorrow. But we'll be playing next weekend. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a third series coming to the Academy stream later today that is going to be Maryville versus Montana State that kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern. But much like the last game, until then, we're going to throw it to one of the other streams that we have running coinciding with this tournament. Some updates on how those streams have been going too. We have Coug Esports versus the KSU Owls. I believe that CE, they took the 2-0 over on Unified EA, but we will be going over to the Upsurge Esports stream for a Game 3 as DePaul. They took Game 1 against Michigan State. Michigan State, led by RBM, a player that made it to top 12 of Proving Grounds on Zeus Gaming came roaring back in game 2 with a massive Kindred game. As that game is being pushed to a game 3, we're going to have that action for you on this stream. If you want to get it live as well, you can go over to twitch.tv/Upsurge Esports. But for now, on the desk until 8 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be saying goodbye to you, but don't be sure to catch all the action that Collegiate has to offer. We have so many games, so many talented programs going toe-to-toe on the Rift today. We're going to get ready to send that on over, but beforehand, Dylan and especially Emery, thank you so much for joining us. And Emery, thanks for bringing us your unique insight on Winthrop and some knowledge you prepped on Marist as well. It was great to have you on the desk as we are going to get ready to send it over to the action-packed 3-game series between Michigan State and DePaul over on twitch.tv/Upsurge Esports. And until 8 p.m. Eastern, you're going to have to tune in that series, and we'll see you then.